In this episode 81 of the Daily Hustle Show, we start the series talking about the Jeff Bezos principles of continued company growth. This is going to be big for you and your business and not becoming stagnant to where your business eventually dies off. Also, we talk about the People's Liberation Army of China.
Broadcasting from the box that rocks and Thrive15.com world headquarters, it's the Daily Hustle with Daniel McKenna.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is episode 81 of the Daily Hustle Show. Over to my left, Marshall F. Morris. Over here, Daniel McKenna. And today we are talking about the Jeff Bezos principles for continued company growth. Marshall, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing spectacularly. Just
spectacularly.
Yeah, with an adverb. I'm doing spectacularly.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm pretty excited. We're both drinking Quick Trip coffee.
Quick Trip coffee. You can find it at your local street corner almost anywhere in Tulsa. But yeah, Quick Trip. Quick Trip is the best.
Yep.
This is episode 81. As always, you want to get some, the most important part about an episode 81 is you want to know about the number 81 is what people want to know about. And so we want to give them that knowledge.
I mean, you're passionate about this.
Marshall is very passionate about this. He tries to play it off, but he cares a lot about this. Did you know? In China, 81 always reminds people of the People's Liberation Army as it was founded on August the 1st.
I didn't know that.
It's called the People's Liberation Army, but it's just the Communist Army. It's the army for their communist regime. That's just what it's called. Did you know? 81 is used to refer to the motor club, Hell's Angels, since H and A are respectively the 8th and first letters of the alphabet. Did you know? 81 is the number of prayers said in the rosary each night.
I did not know that.
I kind of thought you knew that one. Did you know? It's the most points the NBA megastar Kobe Bryant scored in a single game.
Probably could have just left it at that one.
Just say that one?
Yeah, you could have just said that one.
But what about the people that want to know about the China's Communist Army and, biker gangs and...
I'm just
trying to cover the whole, just in case, trying to cover every demographic that listens to the show.
That I respect that.
Let's get into this here. We're talking about the Jeff Bezos principles for continued company growth. Marshall, for the people at home that maybe do not know who Jeff Bezos is, who's Jeff Bezos?
Jeff Bezos, CEO, founder, Amazon.com. One of the most notable online retailers in the world.
Are you trying to seduce the camera right now? I'm not sure what you're doing.
got his start selling books. Quickly moved to everything else.
Yes, started selling books out of his garage on Amazon.com. Here's some Amazon stats here for you, because if you're listening to this show, you've definitely heard of Amazon. Most likely you use Amazon. In the year 2016, their net sales were $136 billion, with a net income of almost $2.4 billion. It's okay, I guess. Bringing in $2.4 billion of cash. Not bad. Year-over-year revenue growth is 27%. They're growing by 27% a year. They're the most popular online store in the United States. Their brand value alone is said to be worth $99 billion. Their brand value alone. Unique monthly U.S. visitors, 184 million. So 184 million different people every month get on Amazon.com. The share of U.S. Amazon customers who are Amazon Prime members is 52%. Over half. That's incredible. And the number of employees is over 340,000. They're kind of big. They're kind of a big deal. Kind of a big company, I'd say. Is that a big company in your mind, Marshall?
It's a big company.
Is that a big one?
It's a big one.
Today we are going to be reading from his letter to his shareholders. So, Marshall, talk to us a little bit about what a letter to shareholders might normally entail and why we can kind of steal some knowledge from here about what old Jeff is thinking about.
Letter to shareholders means that anybody that is invested and bought stock of the company, Jeff Bezos, CEO, communicating to them, letting them know what the state of the state is.
And if I was a shareholder, why would I care about this letter? Why would getting this letter from old Jeffy, why would I want to potentially read this letter?
I would want to read this letter because I want to know how my money's being spent.
Okay. Well, he has this letter here to shareholders. This is on April the 12th, 2017, so this just happened. By the time you're listening to this episode, this is maybe, a few weeks old, a month old, so it just happened here. And we're going to steal some of old Jeff's knowledge, get inside his brain. He's the guy who started and built probably the biggest online store there is, at least in America. I think Alibaba.com or something like that. I think it's bigger than that, but Amazon.com. Okay, here we go. Getting into the letter. He says, Jeff, what does day 2 look like? That's a question I just got at our most recent all-hands meeting. I've been reminding people that it's day 1 for a couple of decades. I work in an Amazon building named Day 1, and when I moved buildings, I took the name with me. I spend time thinking about this topic. Day 2 is stasis, followed by irrelevance, followed by excruciating, painful decline, followed by death. And that is why it is always day 1. To be sure, this kind of decline would happen in extreme slow motion, and an established company might harvest day 2 for decades, but the final result would still come. Before I get your take on this here, Marshall, I find it very interesting that in his letter to his shareholders, the people that are saying his company is worth billions of dollars, he starts with, "If we get to normal, we're gonna die." I found that interesting, but Marshall, we're younger dudes. You remember when AOL was huge?
Yeah, AOL, the hot sauce.
Do you remember when Blockbuster was huge?
Yeah, rent a movie.
Do you remember when Yahoo was bigger than Google?
No.
Okay, well it was for quite some time. What is Jeff Bezos getting at here? What's he talking about?
You gotta always treat it like it's the first day on the job. You gotta impress everybody. You gotta set the standard. Gotta get going. Gotta set the tone. Gotta set the bar for everybody in the company. You gotta keep moving. As soon as that honeymoon effect wears off, you're dead.
So day 1, the thought of day 1 brings with it that startup feel, right? That energetic. We're going to be dynamic. We're going to make big moves. We're going to try to tackle big challenges. That's day 1, right? Beyond day 1, in his mind, is more like we're established. We're going to do what we know to do. I would argue this. Based on what Bezos is talking about, when Steve Jobs was at Apple, they were on day 1. And now that it's not Steve Jobs, they're certainly on day 2. They've gotten much less innovative. They've gotten much more about maximizing the products that they already serve, maximizing the dollars that are coming out of that. Any thoughts on that? Any? You're an Apple user. You're a Mac user.
I'm a Mac user. I just continue using it forever and always.
And any? You see some similarities there, or what do you think?
I think Tim Cook's doing the best job that he can. And I think Steve Jobs was definitely the lifeblood of innovation in the company. And so I think whenever somebody else that is maybe not as passionate about a brand, it's hard to be more passionate than Steve Jobs was about the Apple brand. I think you're going to definitely see a decline.
It's also interesting that he said day 2 and the eventual death because of day 2 could take decades. Said you could still reap harvest for decades. So Bezos is thinking like 30, 40, 50 years in advance about how he's going to treat today, which I find pretty interesting. Okay, let's keep going here. Let's keep reading this. This is to their shareholders. He says, I'm interested in the question, how do you fend off day 2? What are the techniques and tactics? How do you keep the vitality of day 1 even inside a large organization? Such a question can't have a simple answer. There will be many elements, multiple paths, and many traps. I don't know the whole answer, but I may know bits of it. Here's a starter pack of essentials for day 1 defense. Customer obsession, a skeptical view of proxies, the eager adoption of external trends, and high-velocity decision-making. So, Marshall, that's what we're going to dive into here.
I'm excited.
That essential starter pack for day one defense. So for the people at home that already have a business, that already are trying to grow that business, that maybe got to a certain point, plateaued maybe, or maybe you're doing really well and you're trending up and you want to keep that trend going up. This is what Jeff Bezos is talking about, how he deals with their ginormous company. So we're going to dive into the first one. And the first one is true customer obsession. True customer obsession here, Marshall. We'll keep going. He says, there are many ways to center a business. You can be competitor-focused. You can be product-focused. You can be technology-focused. You can be business model-focused, and there are more. But in my view, obsessive customer focus is by far the most protective of day one vitality. Why? There are many advantages to a customer-centric approach, but here's the big one. Customers are always beautifully, wonderfully dissatisfied, even when they report being happy and business is great. Even when they don't know it yet, customers want something better, and your desires to delight customers will drive you to invent on their behalf. No customer ever asked Amazon to create the Prime membership program, but it sure turns out they wanted it, and I could give you many such examples. Staying in day one requires you to experiment patiently, accept failures, plant seeds, protect saplings, and double down when you see customer delight. A customer-obsessed culture best creates the conditions where all of that can happen. Marshall, old Jeffy B, he's dropping some bombs here already. In your experience coaching businesses, you've had a lot of success with your business you've been coaching, hitting revenue numbers that they haven't hit before, hitting profit margins they've hit before. How important to you is customer obsession? How important is this idea?
Customer obsession is vitally important. It's important that everybody has it because the customer is the person that's going to be able to take their business somewhere else if you are not obsessed with them. So everything starts with sales. Sales is like the cornerstone and the bedrock of the business, and it's what provides the cash flow. And so you have to be obsessed with the person that can give you business, can give you sales. And so you got to be obsessive about what they want, and even sometimes being looking out for the customer ahead of time from where they might want in the future, and therefore preparing your company for future growth and future adaptation.
I loved two things in here. One was that he said he delights in the fact that customers are never satisfied. So to him, he sees it as like an ongoing challenge that he believes he can continue to win by bringing more value than other people. And it's like an opportunity for him to keep winning. So he says, my customers aren't satisfied. And he sees that as a good thing. I thought that was very interesting. Also, the other thing that stuck out here was Amazon got to know their buyers, like really know them, experimented with different things they thought they would like, killed off, I'm sure, a ton of ideas. They thought, oh, customers would really like this. And they maybe put it on the site for a week and then nothing really happens, or they don't get really any response. And they're like, okay, maybe they didn't really like that. But then they doubled down on things like Amazon Prime. They found out people really did like Amazon Prime. They did want to pay $100 a year to get free 2-day shipping on all their products for the year. They saw that customers wanted it, and they doubled down on it. They're like, wow, we can get people shopping on Amazon all the time, and they will gladly shop on Amazon all the time because they get free 2-day shipping through Amazon Prime. They doubled down on that, and now over half of their customers have Amazon Prime. Half of their hundreds of millions of customers. Kind of a big deal. Do you remember the Amazon phone? Do you remember the Amazon phone?
No, couldn't tell you.
Amazon had a phone. They tried to get in the phone game. Back when iPhone had already gotten popular, hadn't reached its peak yet, but it was popular. And so companies, like even Facebook had a phone. Different companies decided to jump in the cell phone game. Amazon was one of them. Got it out there. Turned out, you know what? We're not very good at phones. Go ahead and kill that guy. They put out one iteration of the phone and then they were done. They moved on. But since then, they've added things like the Amazon Prime, like all the streaming video and audio options you have now. They added Audible. They keep finding things that their customers are wanting, right? Let's get some other experts to weigh in on this, just in case the customer obsession isn't something that sparks your Jimmy, get you going. Is that a good phrase there, Sam? Was that a good phrase? Okay, it's good. Sparks for Jimmy. I don't think it's a real phrase. I just kind of made it up. We're gonna hear from other people, other big titans of business when they talk about customers, and we can kind of go back and forth here and see what you think. I'll read the first one, and then I'll let you comment on this first one. First one, Sam Walton of Walmart of Sam's Club. He says there is only one boss, the customer. And he can fire everybody in the company from the chairman on down simply by spending his money somewhere else. Commentary from Marshall Morris.
This is exactly what we're talking about. If you, for whatever reason, don't feel like your customer is important, then shame on you, because your customer is the only one that can spend money at the business, okay? Otherwise, you don't have a business, you have a nonprofit. And so specifically, don't be a for-profit company not making profit. There you go.
Okay. All right, go. I'll let you read this next one here.
Next one. Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning, by Bill Gates.
Old William. Again, Bill, and then also Jeff earlier. It's like I'm on first name basis with him, right?
Yeah.
We're so close.
You're close.
First name basis with
Mastermind.
old Jeffy and Bill. Old William. Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning. And Jeff was saying earlier, Bezos was saying earlier, about how customers are always dissatisfied. They see this as a positive. They see it as like, these people are going to point out to us what we didn't see as we were developing this idea. The things that we had this idea in mind. We thought this is going to really reach our customers. We built this thing out. We put it out there into the world. And then you find out where you didn't hit the mark, where you didn't wow them, where they're dissatisfied, and that lets you know, oh, maybe they didn't really care about this so much, but they care about this more. Or maybe we thought we were hitting the mark here, but really the mark is like way up here somewhere. So your unhappy customers, your dissatisfied customers, are where you can actually get a lot better if you're listening. If you're listening and willing to implement what they're talking about.
That's hot.
Let's do another one here. Here's one that's specifically makes a lot of sense for the Amazon story. This is the old Mark Cuban. Make your product easier to buy than your competition, or you will find your customers buying from them, not you. What do you think about that?
Steve Jobs, he said simple is harder than complex. Simple is harder than complex. And the reason why is because distilling a process or a system down to the simplest form possible, it takes a lot of mental marination, a lot of time refining the system and the process. But it's so important because customers will gravitate towards whatever is easiest. And so if it's easy to buy your product from you, then they will continue to do business with you. But as soon as your process becomes more difficult than the other guys, then they're going to go to the other guys and start spending their money somewhere else.
Amazon now has a one-click ordering, right? You have your account information on it, stuff like that. You have the one-click order. You're looking at something like, click this, and you bought it, and we're going to send it to you. Like, they know that the emotion of buying is here, and then it immediately starts doing this. It immediately starts trending downwards. You're like, yeah, I like that. Well, maybe, I don't know. I don't really need to spend the money. Maybe I can find a better deal. You know what? I actually don't need that right now. Like, that's how the buying emotion goes, right? So they said, we're going to just put a button on there that if they click that button, we're just going to send it to them and charge them. I guarantee their sales would drop by like 25% if every time you ordered something, you also had to fill out a 10-question survey. Like, we want to find out what our customers think. Let's add a survey, a 10-question survey. That way, when people are buying our stuff all the time, we'll get a ton of data. But then their sales would also go brrr, because as people first question, fill it out. Okay, submit. Second question. Okay, submit. Third question. You know what? I'll come back and do this later, or maybe I'll just go down to Sam's Club and pick it up because I get it there in bulk. Right? Because that buying emotion starts dying. Here's one for you, Zig Ziglar, best-selling author. Statistics suggest that when customers complain, business owners and managers ought to get excited about it. The complaining customer represents a huge opportunity for more business. I think we already covered that one.
Yeah. Complaining customers, great source of learning and wisdom.
And here's one from Steve Jobs. Get closer than ever to your customers. So close that you can tell them what they need, well before they realize it themselves. What's old Stevie talking about here?
So specifically, your company needs to be looking ahead to the future, 5 years, 10 years, recognizing the market trends, because if you don't adapt, then you will die. So adapt or die. And the reason why you have to do this is because your customers are only looking short term. They, by nature, are looking for the short-term solution, but you must prepare for the long-term success of the company. And so you have to be able to give your customers what they need versus what they want, in conjunction with also turning a profit in the short term.
I think it also goes back to the old adage, the old sales adage. If you're a customer and you're trying to put some, maybe you're trying to knock down a wall or something, right? You're going to go to the hardware store, you're going to find a hammer. Well, they're going to buy the hammer, but really what they want to buy is a hole in the wall. Right? Like, that's why they're going to go get a hammer, is because they want a hole in the wall. So Steve Jobs knew that even though MP3 players were just like sort of like, people started taking MP3 players, it was like an idea. You could do it. You could fit like 30 or 40 songs on this little device. He's like, customers don't want an MP3 player. They just want to be able to easily listen to their music everywhere they want to go. How do we make that easy for them? Right? So he didn't focus on just, okay, the current MP3 player is, you can fit 40 songs on there. Let's try to fit 60 songs on there and charge 20% less. Right? Like, he focused on what do they actually want. Let's build that. That was the customer obsession episode. There's 3 more principles here from old Jeff Bezos talking about specifically what he called here. Let me find it here so I don't mess it up. The starter pack of essentials for day 1 defense. That was the first one. In the next episode, episode 82, we're going to talk about 2 more of those essentials. A skeptical view of proxies and the eager adoption of external trends. Marshall, you got anything else on customer obsession here for this episode?
Obsess about your customers. Hot sizzle.
There's Marshall just really driving it home. We appreciate that. That was it for episode 81. Over to my left, Marshall Morris. Over here, Daniel McKenna. We'll be back next time for episode 82. Boom.